Okay, so the NBA's MVP race this year is good. Like, really good. So, let's talk about it. What's up, YouTube? It's Walt here, back today with my first NBA video. Today we will be talking about the NBA's most coveted individual award, the most valuable player. Before we get into it, remember to like the video and hit the subscribe button, and yeah, let's get started. So the NBA MVP race is insane this year. Usually by this time in the season, there's really just two, maybe three guys that have a real case for the award, and the race kind of just focuses on them. However, this season, we have at least 5 and up to maybe 7 players who have legitimate cases for MVP this year. So, in today's video, I want to go over the 5 players I believe still have a real case for MVP and just give their current argument and what I think has to happen for them to win the award. So, before we get started, let's quickly go over the typical criteria to win the NBA's MVP award. I'll make this somewhat quick, but the MVP usually goes to the best player on a top 3 team in their conference that played a good majority of the games and is playing up a dominant stat line. To make clear why seeding matters so much, something around 40 of the 44 MVPs in the modern era have been on a top 3 seed, with the vast majority being on a top 2 team in their conference. In fact, from 1989 through 2016, every MVP was on a top 2 seed, with 23 of 27 of those MVPs being on their respective conferences 1 seed. So essentially, best player on the best team usually wins it. So with that out of the way, I'd like to give an honorable mention to the 2 players I'm leaving off of this list that maybe still have a case, and those 2 are Ja Morant and Joel Embiid. Both have been playing at an MVP caliber level, but Ja's numbers, while insanely impressive, don't necessarily stack up to the other guys on this list. I love Ja, but this year probably isn't his year. Now, Joel would have a very strong case for MVP. That is, if he could stay on the court. The best ability is availability, and unfortunately, Embiid has not been available for his team, causing them to drop in the standings, and really, that is what's taken away from his case for most valuable player. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into my list of the 5 players with a legitimate case to win the award. So, the first person I decided to put on this list, we all know the legend of this man by many names. The Slim Reaper, Durantula, KD, Snake, Cupcake, Kevin Durant. A player considered to be one of, if not the greatest scorer ever, is in his 15th year in the league at age 34, and he came into this year and has shown everyone he is still dominant and still arguably the best scorer in the league, if not all time. On the year, Durant has averaged 29.7 points on insane efficiency, a 55.9% field goal percentage, 37.6% from 3, and 93.4% at the free throw line for an absurd effective field goal percentage of 60.7%. Along with his scoring, KD averages 6.7 rebounds and 5.3 assists, along with a steal and 1.5 blocks a night, leading the Brooklyn Nets to the second best record in the Eastern Conference, currently sitting at 27-15 this season. KD is currently having one of the greatest and most efficient scoring seasons ever, and one of the best seasons by a player this late in their career. So it looks like KD checks off all the boxes. So why did I kind of start off with him on the list? His team is top 2 in their conference, and he's playing up absurd numbers. Well, when originally making this video, KD was number 3 on my list. However, on Sunday, January 8th, Durant went down with an MCL sprain in the 3rd quarter against the Miami Heat, and is set to be out until early February at best. And like we said with Embiid, the best ability is availability. So that is why, for me, Durant has slipped in his MVP chances. So I think what will stop him from winning the MVP award will be the time he missed. You can't make up for those games when trying to build your case for most valuable player. In order for Durant to win the MVP this year, I believe what would need to happen is for him to come back and continue playing at his elite level, put together a few games that have us in awe, and leading the Brooklyn Nets past the Boston Celtics for the number 1 seed in the East. And if he can do that, I think he can 100% win MVP. But with the injury and the gap between the Celtics and Nets growing wider, that may be a very tall task once he returns. The Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo, has this season done Giannis things. The Greek Freak is currently averaging a dominant 31 points per game, 11.9 boards, and 5.3 assists on 52.4% field goal shooting, along with a steal and a block a night, while leading the Bucks to being the current 3rd seed in the East with a 28-16 record. So, here's the thing with Giannis. We have almost become bored with his greatness. He's always going to be in the MVP conversation year in and year out because of his sheer dominance, and there's not a ton going against his case. He has the numbers, he has the standing, and in fact, the Bucks will more than likely move up to the 2 seed in the coming weeks. This is part of why I've said this is the most insane MVP race possibly ever. If someone told me Giannis was their MVP, I wouldn't question it, even though I'm slightly concerned about his recent knee issues. What I think would need to happen for him to win MVP for sure is for Giannis to continue putting up the numbers, pick it up a little more on the defensive end, and the Bucks to catch up to and pass the Celtics for the 1 seed, which is possible, and Giannis is no doubt having an MVP caliber season and would probably win it almost any other year. Unfortunately for him, this year's competition is stiff, and there are a few players I believe may be more deserving. So, for my current third in the race, I present the best player on the team with the best record in the league this season, and that is Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics. For me, it was really tough to decide between 2 and 3 on this list, as the player I have at 2 and Tatum are both having phenomenal years, and I think the two are really interchangeable. So I consider it more of a tied at second or 2A, 2B type of thing. Anyways, Tatum has been fantastic this year for the number 1 seed in the East, averaging 31.1 points per game, 8.3 rebounds a game, and 4.3 assists per contest, as well as a steal and a block on good efficiency of 47, 35, 87 shooting splits. Doing all this while leading the Celtics to a league-best 33-12 record. Tatum's coming off an impressive 51-point performance against the Charlotte Hornets and has been phenomenal all season with no signs of slowing down. I think Tatum, beyond a shadow of a doubt, has one of, if not the best case for MVP this season. He's the best player on the best team in the league, putting up absolutely insane stats. Again, I have him tied for second right now, and frankly, all he has to do to win MVP is continue to perform, keep the 1 seed, and maybe hope for things to shake out a little differently on the other side of the league. If you have Tatum as your MVP, that is extremely valid, and frankly, outside of the last 2 on this list, I don't think there can be much disagreement. So, my other player I have tied for second right now kind of defies the criteria we've talked about so far in this video, as Luka Doncic has been putting up historic numbers this season. The legend of Luka is putting up probably the best numbers in the league this year, currently averaging 34, 9, and 9, and having put together some of the greatest performances in the history of the NBA. Namely a 60-20-10 game this December, and having a 5-game stretch where he averaged 45.6 points, 10.5 boards, and 10 assists through 5 games. He is literally putting up 2K my career numbers in the real NBA. If there was a best player award, I think it would undoubtedly have to go to Luka this season. The man is an absolute monster, and what makes his play even more impressive is how unimpressive the roster is around him, as unlike the other players on this list, Luka doesn't really have a true second or third option on his team to help him out. However, this is also why he more than likely won't win the award, as his team is currently the 5 seed, and while that is overachieving for that monstrosity of a roster, they're currently 3 games behind the 4-seeded Kings, and really, even with his dominant performances, Luka is barely keeping this Mavericks team above 500. So, while he has been fantastic and is carrying this team on his back, he's missing the key piece to winning MVP, being a top seed in your conference. So that's why if you made me pick, I give Tatum a better shot at actually winning MVP, although Luka is having the better individual season, hence the tie at 2. And to round out this list, the current frontrunner and favorite to win MVP, along with probably being the most deserving, a man who would absolutely cement his legacy this year by winning his 3rd straight Most Valuable Player award, Nikola Jokic. The Joker is just continuing to show above and beyond how great he really is. Jokic is currently averaging a 25-point triple-double on insane shooting splits of 62, 37, 81 as a center. Not only is he averaging the triple-double, if you watch him play, there's no stat padding involved. For example, a week ago in a win over the Lakers, he had a 16-assist triple-double while managing to shoot 100% from the field. That is absurd. He is currently having the 2nd most efficient season in NBA history, and when you know it, the player he is behind when it comes to efficiency is himself in one of his other 2 MVP seasons. And while playing this efficient, it has led to winning, as the Nuggets are the number 1 seed in the Western Conference at the time of this recording, sitting at a strong 30-13. And oh yeah, if you were to remove Jokic from the Nuggets according to all analytics, the Nuggets would be on pace to have one of the worst records in the league. And I know, well, if any team lost their best player, they'd get worse. But the Nuggets wouldn't just get worse, they would absolutely drive off a cliff and plummet and explode. Jokic is the engine behind the best team in the West, having one of the most efficient years ever, and frankly, the only way I don't think he'll win it is if the Nuggets were to drop to the 3 or 4 seed for some reason. Although, if they finish with the 1 seed and he keeps playing how he has been the past 2.5 seasons, The only, and I mean only way he won't win is due to voter fatigue. Anyways, that's the end of today's video. Thank you guys for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos. Let me know who your MVP is in the comments section below, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.